The University of Arizona just fired Kevin Sumlin, their head coach. The news broke right after they lost to Arizona State, 70-7. That means that Arizona State scored 70 points, 7-0, and Arizona only scored 7. Not good. And Arizona was 0-5 this year. And in the 3 years Kevin Sumlin was there, he went 9-20. He had 9 wins in 3 years, 0-5 this year. Actually ended his tenure on a 12-game losing streak. In fact, to add insult to injury, he actually lost all 3 matchups against Arizona State. And here's what the Arizona athletic director, Dave Heek, said. He said this, quote, "When we hired Kevin 3 years ago, we had very high hopes for our football program. Unfortunately, we simply have not seen the results and upward trajectory in our program that we needed to. And I believe now is a time for a change in leadership. I thank Kevin for his service to the University of Arizona and wish him the very best in the future." And so I walked away from this, and I'll be totally honest, I have not followed Arizona very closely. I could not tell you what specifically happened that caused him to fail as the Arizona head coach. But I just was disappointed it didn't work. I know that Kevin Sumlin once coached Case Keenum, and then he later coached Johnny Manziel. And so he's had his hands on some really good college quarterbacks. And I always thought that, man, Kevin Sumlin teaming up with Khalil Tate, a guy who could run and throw, and I thought was a guy with Heisman potential, we'll say. I thought, man, Kevin Sumlin with this guy, going to be a home run. And Khalil Tate came and went, and it never worked. Kevin Sumlin and Khalil Tate never worked. And I think that was the moment I realized, wow, he can't coach Khalil Tate, and Khalil Tate and him aren't working. Because Tate was so talented, it felt like a gigantic missed opportunity. When that happened, I just realized, oh, this isn't going to work. And I ever since that moment, I've been like, man, how long until Kevin Sumlin gets fired? And he did, and it's sad. It's like, man, I'm just disappointed that like it would have been so cool to see Kevin Sumlin work at Arizona. It didn't work, and it's too bad. Now, Illinois fired their coach, Lovie Smith. That's also Lovie Smith was the former Chicago Bears head coach. He actually took them to a Super Bowl and lost to Peyton Manning, Tony Dungy, and the Colts. Lovie Smith was at Illinois for 5 years. He went 17-39. His team was 2-5 this year so far. I think he might play one more game. We'll see what happens. Here is the statement that Illinois athletic director Josh Whitman said. He said, "Lovie Smith led the Illinois football program with unquestioned integrity during his nearly 5 years of service. I have tremendous respect for Coach Smith and will always be grateful for him for providing a steady, experienced hand at a time when our program required stability. His unshakable leadership, never more needed than during this pandemic, will be forever remembered." Nonetheless, based on extensive evaluation of the program's current state and future outlook, I have concluded that the program is not progressing at the rate we should expect at this advanced stage in Coach Smith's tenure. To achieve our competitive objectives, I believe new leadership of the football program is required. I will always look fondly on the time Lovie and I have spent together. I wish him and Mary Ann nothing but the best. It's justified, in my opinion. Like, Illinois is totally justified there. They gave him 5 years, and that's fair. You give a coach 5 years, he's 2-5, it's not working. I think he was mature. I liked he had this cool white beard. But I think it's very fair to fire Lovie Smith at this point. Not to mention that the next head coach can feel very comfortable knowing that there is a patient administration governing Illinois football. Now, Auburn fired their coach, Gus Malzahn, after 8 years. And so Auburn is going to pay a $21.45 million buyout to Gus Malzahn to get rid of him. They're paying him to leave. By the way, a coach who's got a winning record. He's 6-4 this year. And it also looks even worse because you're now, as a result of this, the timing's terrible because not only is it right before the early signing period starts in college football, it also makes Alabama's highest paid state employee during a pandemic is now a fired football coach. Ooh, not good. Like that does not sit very well. It's bad optically, right? Now, Gus Malzahn is not a guy I'm going to go out of my way to defend. He's very secretive. His offense is supposed to be a strong suit. It's actually, his offense has struggled. You're like, well, it's Supposed to be an offensive guy. What's going on? The Auburn athletic director came out and said that they were looking for a coach who can, quote, help the Auburn program consistently compete at the highest level. So they're like, we're not competitive enough. We want to get rid of the guy. Let's do a buyout. I'll be honest here, though. It seems like Auburn, somebody just got angry and said, you're out of here. Get out of here. Scram. And they fired Gus Malzahn without a plan. And that's not ever really good. Again, not a guy, I'm not going to defend Gus Malzahn that heavily. I will say that as a coach, he did go to the national championship his very first year, his rookie season as head coach, lost the national championship to Florida State. He was also the offensive coordinator for Cam Newton. Cam won a Heisman Trophy. They did win a national championship that year with him as offensive coordinator. And Gus Malzahn is a super control freak. That's well known about him. But he did have some cool moments. He had the kick six to beat Alabama, which really like Alabama kicks a field goal. Auburn catches it, runs it back for a touchdown down the left sideline. Like Nick Marshall. I don't remember the guy's name. I'm so sorry. Something Davis. Some Davis name. I forget. Nick Davis maybe. Some crazy cornerback runs it back for a touchdown. You're like, it's amazing. It was kind of the highlight of his Auburn coaching career. I'm not an Auburn fan. I'm sorry I don't know the name of the one guy who ran back the kick. I'm sure Auburn fans are going to grill me there. And it's not relevant to this topic. And when I heard he was getting a $21 million buyout, I'll be honest, I went, man, good for Gus. Like, good for him. Because you may not realize Gus Malzahn started his career coaching Mitch Mustain, actually, in Arkansas in high school football. So Gus Malzahn went from a high school football coach, a very good one, by the way, probably going to get paid very well for a long time, but he went from a high school football coach to being ridiculously rich. Way more. He's got more than $21 million in his bank now. And I just go, man, good for Gus Malzahn. I mean, that's just if that isn't the American dream right there. I mean, that's just awesome. Like, hey, well done, man. Now, here are the names that are being thrown out to replace Gus Malzahn. I've heard Oregon coach Mario Cristobal. I've heard Scott Satterfield at Louisville. I've heard Billy Napier from the University of Louisiana. Hugh Freeze from Liberty. Bill O'Brien, the former Penn State and Houston Texans coach who got fired from Houston. Mike Gundy at Oklahoma State. Brent Venables, the Clemson defensive coordinator. Tony Elliott, the Clemson offensive coordinator. Dan Quinn, the former Falcons head coach who got fired in the NFL. Some of those names feel like wishful thinking, like good luck getting Mike Gundy or Mario Cristobal. They're happy, they're safe, they've got good jobs, and they're paid well. I doubt they're leaving. And then, I'm not really sure some of these names are even an upgrade. Like Tony Elliott or I don't want to throw out any more names to make people angry, but there are a couple names where I'm like, that guy's better than Gus Malzahn? Really? Like, okay, good luck. And then really the question has to be asked, is Auburn even a good job? And I can feel the anger. Like, I know that people watching and listening, a wave of anger ran right through Auburn fans. They're like, War Eagle! Ah! I'm like, yeah, great. But think about this. It's a lot of money, but they're going to also have an unhealthy expectation right off the bat. And if you're me, I mean, you better make me a rich man if you want me to coach at Auburn. If I'm Mario Cristobal or Mike Gundy, who's very safe and very happy. So we'll see. I got my eye on this Auburn job. We'll see what happens. Again, I just feel like they got angry. They were so mad. They fired the guy emotionally. They took action before they really had a plan to replace him. And we'll see who they replace him with. We'll see what happens. I mean, I'm criticizing Auburn, but I mean, 2 years from now, they could be winning a national championship. Who knows, right? Try to be fair, try to be honest, try to be open. But I don't know if this situation was entirely handled the right way. Even though, again, I'm not the first guy to defend Gus Malzahn. Gus Malzahn, control freak. His offenses haven't been playing very well. He's not killing it. So, if you're not doing amazing, your firing's probably justified. But was it really justified to do a $21.45 million buyout right now during a pandemic when you probably don't have a plan to replace him? And he's 6-4. He had a winning record, by the way, this year with a young quarterback who's growing. Okay, good luck, man. Good luck, Auburn. Good luck to you guys.